lovers, it is G-Swizz here, and I'm here today with my December TBR. Final month of the reading year, and obviously the final month to contribute to my 2023 reading challenge. And I am thinking of completing a few series, maybe reading a few standalones, maybe getting to some releases that got away, and I do believe that I have a Christmas book somewhere in the mix as well. I have a mixture of things today, and I am wanting to get to majority of them purely because we're in December and I'm wanting to finish a few things, and I don't really have many more reading goals to achieve. I mean, technically I have completed many series this year, so honestly I don't really need to worry about completing more series, but it would be nice to complete some series before the end of the year and to maybe get to some standalones and some books that I wouldn't usually get to when it comes to completing challenge prompts and all that stuff, etc. So I guess without further ado, I'm gonna get straight into this December TBR, and I'm gonna show you guys what I have and explain why I've put it on my December TBR specifically. The first book that I need to mention is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I was meant to read this a while back because Wildfire actually came out in October. I've been putting it on hold for some time, so I need to get to this one by the end of the year. I believe this book takes place at a summer camp, and it is summer here in Australia, so I would say that this would be a perfect pick for the season, and I am hearing great things about this romance in particular as well. And these two characters I want to see together, I want to ship them, I want to know what's going on with them, so I want to read this one by the end of the year and let you guys know how I go with it. And the next two books that I put on my December TBR happen to be the last two books in the series. I've wanted to complete the Madison Kate series for a while, and I just have not yet. I actually purchased these books to read in the lead up to Babe. I did not read all of them in the lead up to Babe. I think I read the first book in the lead up to meeting Tate James, and I never continued. I mean, no, I read the second book, but I never continued with the other two books, and it's been months since I've read the first two books. So I need to get to Fake and Kate, hopefully sometime by the end of this year. I mean, these books are technically pretty chunky, so I don't know if it's doable, but I mean, we will see. It would honestly be awesome if I finished off the series this year, just to kind of end the year off strong with a bunch of series finished. But if I don't, that is okay. These aren't necessary to finish, but it would be nice to finish the series and also see what the hype is about, because I did like book 2. I didn't love book 1 as much, but I did like book 2, and I would like to see how the series progresses from the first book onward. And the next book that I put on my December TBR is Brier by Casey L. Bond. So considering that I've read and completed many series this year, I at some point just want to get to some of my fantasy standalones, and Brier came to mind when I was thinking about some fantasy standalones. I purchased this book on Amazon for like really cheap, like probably around $14 to $17, and it's got like a beautiful naked hardback as well. So pretty. Just need to read the pretty books that I buy. This just seems like a very nice, whimsical fantasy standalone that I might just enjoy. I might need a comfort read during this time, because some of you might not know this, but December is actually a very busy month for me in particular, specifically the first half of December. So I'm just really hoping that I can get through December, I can get through some of my books, and I'm hoping that comfort reads like Brier will help me do so. I suspect that this is going to be a comfort read. It's not going to be too heavy. I hear that it's a very quick plot and that the romance takes place within like 2 days anyway, so honestly I don't think this is going to be super heavy for my brain, so I might just enjoy this one in the month of December. I cannot wait to read this one and try something out by Casey L. Bond. It says, sometimes witches hunt their own. Okay, this is interesting. I'm guessing that a witch is hunting a witch. For some reason, the naked hardback is giving me Blood and Honey vibes, you know, from Serpent and Dove, when they're at the carnival and stuff. I hope I like this just as much as I like some of the other fantasy standalones that I've read and I've enjoyed previously. And speaking of comforting and cozy reads, I've decided that a year after receiving this book from Fairy Loot, I am going to read it. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This edition is stunning, and I keep on forgetting I have this book on my shelves because I display it this way on my stenciled edge shelf. The naked hardback is just stunning. Yeah, Fairy Loot did an excellent job with this edition, but I keep on forgetting I own it. And I just thought, what better time to read it than a year after receiving it? Because at the time I received it, yes, I was really stressed with work because it was end of year period for my job, and December is usually a really busy period. period. So I'm hoping that I will actually pick this book up and I will enjoy it and I will take comfort and delight in it. We'll see how I go with this one. I've heard great things. I heard that there's going to be a sequel. I don't know if it's a direct sequel or if it's a companion, but what I do know is that I'm excited for it already because I hear great things about this first book. So I'm hoping to get to this first book hopefully sometime by end of the year, just for the vibes, because I'm gonna need those comforting vibes. However, if I want intensity to match how I feel about this busy period, then I might just read The Blood Gift by N.E. Davenport. This right here is the sequel and the conclusion to the Blood Gift duology. The first book is The Blood Trials. I read The Blood Trials around a year and a half ago, and I adored it. The Blood Trials was one of my favorite books of last year, but the reviews for The Blood Gift started rolling in and I started getting really intimidated by the reviews. I was nervous, I'm not gonna lie. I still am very nervous. However, as of recently, I've started thinking to myself, what better time to finish this duology than at the end of 2023, where I am finally closing the chapter of 2023 and I'm concluding series and reading some standalones and stuff. I just think that maybe The Blood Gift might be a good note to end 2023 off on. I'm just hoping that it's good. I'm nervous about this one. However, at this point of the year, it's not like I'm trying to complete a bunch of reading goals and reading challenges. At the point that this video goes up, I will have completed my Pop Sugar reading challenge for 2023. I've completed a few other challenges anyway. There isn't really anything that I need to complete by the end of the year, and I think that a good intense read is also going to get my mind off of the intensity of the moment. And you know what? I usually say the same thing about drama. Like, I usually get invested in internet drama to avoid thinking about the drama in my personal life. The same thing goes with books. So I'm hoping that The Blood Gift will help me forget about the intensity of this time and that I can just soldier on with this book. I really hope I love it just as much as The Blood Trials, but I can't count on it because the reviews aren't that great, unfortunately. And the next book I've put on my December TBR is The Wolf and the Wildflower by Ella Fields. This is the second book in the Faded Fae series, and once again, I've placed this book on this TBR specifically because it's a series finisher, I believe. As I'm currently filming this video, there are no other sequels attached to the Faded Fae series, so I'm going to assume that this is a duet, and this is the final book in the duet. So I'm hoping to get to this one sometime by the end of the year. If I don't get to it, I will complete the series in 2024, and I will add that to my completed series list of 2024. That will definitely help me for that goal. I don't need to complete any more series this year, but it would be cool if I did complete a few more before the end of the year. So maybe The Wolf and the Wildflower will be part of this year's completed series list. And I hope I love it even more than the first book, because as much as I enjoyed The Savage and the Swan, at times I found it to be a little bit weird. And I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping that the romance between the dark love interest and the pure protagonist would have been somewhat even more developed. I did love their moments together. It's just I found that the romance was a little bit forced for their situation. So I am personally hoping that that is not the case for The Wolf and the Wildflower. I'm hoping that the romantic development is much better in the second book. The second last book that I have to mention that is on my December TBR, I'm so excited for. It is like one of my most anticipated releases of the year. A Dream So Wicked. I finally have myself a physical copy of this book. I finally have a beautiful hardback edition. Look at this beautiful art by Tessonia. Wow, I am just so impressed with this beautiful edition, and I hope to be impressed by this beautiful story. How long is this book? It's actually a very thick book. Oh my goodness. Wow, it's over 460 pages, and I believe that majority of Tessonia Odette's books are just over 400 pages, so this is thicker than majority of the books in this world. I'm really pumped to have a story that is longer in length, and I am kind of hoping based on that it will be very fleshed out and not rushed at all. This, I would say, is Sleeping Beauty meets Strange the Dreamer based on its premise. So in this book, we are following our Sleeping Beauty inspired protagonist, and instead of the love interest being the prince that kisses her, or Maleficent, the love interest is actually a villain that is set within her dream realm. And I believe he's keeping our Sleeping Beauty like character asleep. I don't know why, I don't know what his intentions are, but I hear that he's she's meant to be the love interest. So I'm hoping he's doing that for a good reason. I honestly cannot wait to see how Tessandra Odette writes a Sleeping Beauty inspired story. I have found that the stories that she's written in the Entangled with Fae series that are inspired by the fairy tales that I'm not as interested in, I found that those specific fairy tale reimaginings from her have been my favorite, like her Snow White inspired reimagining and her Cinderella one. I mean, I do like her Beauty and the Beast one. I did not like the Little Mermaid one as much, but I am hoping, fingers crossed, that the Sleeping Beauty one will be an ultimate favorite. And yes, I do have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale that much. I've never been a huge fan of it. I mean, I did like the Disney movie as a child. I mean, you know, I usually liked Disney princess movies as a child. I loved seeing the princess go around and I loved the fairies and stuff, but it never really stuck with me as a story. So I'm kind of hoping that just like some of the other books by Tessandra Odette in this series, like Heart of the Raven Prince and A Taste of Poison, that A Dream So Wicked will kind of change my perspective on the fairy tale and will kind of make me more excited to read reimaginings about Sleeping Beauty. So fingers crossed, I love this one just as much as the other ones that she's put out in the series. We'll see how I go. Well, hello there. I'm interrupting from the future. I realized that I did not include a book that I was in the middle of reading that I wanted to continue on with by the end of the year. I really wanted to finish this book by the end of the year. And that, my friends, is A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. Started this book. I wanted to read this book in the lead up to my top 23 books of 2023 video. I want to see if this makes the list, especially because this seems to be one of Abby's favorite books of the year. And yes, indeed, I am referring to Abby Lacey, the book lover. That excites me because I personally already like the monster romance that I've read so far, but Abby is not a monster romance reader and she really loves this book. So if this was good enough for Abby, I reckon it's going to be good enough for me. I've actually already started it. I'm around 100 pages into it so far, and I am really enjoying it, and I had a lot of reading to get done in the month of November, so I put this one on hold, and now I am planning to read it this month. So we'll see how we go. I reckon this is going to make my top 23. I think based on the first 100 pages, it has already impressed me. I'm very much looking forward to continuing on with the story and to see how Rhea and Orpheus go about their romantic relationship. I'm just so excited. I know this cover has weirded out many people on Twitter specifically, but I don't care. I'm really excited to read this. And at the moment, it's giving me the warm fuzzies. Anyway, back to past G-Swiz. And last but certainly not least, the final book that I've put on my December TBR is a holiday fantasy romance that I'm very much looking forward to getting to, and that, my friends, is A Court of Sugar and Spice by Rebecca F. Kenny. Now, I was initially intrigued by this cover. I mean, look at this cover, it's absolutely stunning. I saw this trend on Kindle Unlimited this time last year, and I just needed to add it to my collection because it looks adorable. But I am hearing really good things about the story as well. It's a Nutcracker inspired reimagining. I'm not gonna lie, the only other Nutcracker inspired reimagining I have experienced in my life is the Barbie Nutcracker reimagining. I actually don't personally remember the story of the Nutcracker, unlike knowing the story of the Christmas Carol. I know the story of A Christmas Carol, but I don't know the story of the Nutcracker, or at least I don't remember it. I'm hoping that this romantasy will be a good refresher. This was definitely a cover buy, but I'm hearing good things about the series. I even picked the other books up in the series. They're not all Christmas inspired. I also have a book in the series that's inspired by Alice in Wonderland and another one inspired by The Wizard of Oz. So I'm hoping that the books in the series are good and that they are worth the hype. There's only one way to find out, and that is if I read the books. So I'm hoping to get to this first book by the end of the year, by Christmas time, and we'll see how I go. I've also heard that this book is a little bit spicy, so I'm going to avoid reading this one in public where I can. I'm definitely probably going to read this one at home, you know, when I need to decompress after the busy December I'm going to be having. So I guess that's going to be it for this video today, book lovers. If you happen to stay to the end of the video, leave me the yellow heart emoji. And if you happen to enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already. Join the amazing community of book lovers. And also, I have social medias. I'm at GSwizzleBooks on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also GOODREADS. That's www.goodreads.com/GSwizzle. And finally, I'm at TikTok. I'm at GSwizzle on TikTok if you want to follow me there for some bookish content. I love you, book lovers, and I will see you later. Peace.
Started out with half and I flipped it in a double. Started out with half and I flipped it in a double.